Before I get started, I'd like to say, if you would like a degreased, cleaner version of this process, head on over to Cloyes. They have an excellent video of this procedure under normal conditions. However, I will be adding a more detailed version. Throughout each step of the process, I will be referencing and pinpointing different locations to verify we're in time to have a better understanding of the mechanics of the engine. So in the previous video I had jump time, one tooth by reversing the engine. So I put that back in time. And now we want to bring this sprocket timing to line up with the oil pump into stage 2. We want to remove the spark plug so the engine is easy to rotate. Alright, here she comes. Line up the dots. Crank and oil pump. Right about there. Now the camera angle might show things differently, so let me get a pointer. This dot on the oil pump lines up with the tooth and this dot on the crank sprocket, and then your link is in the center of the tooth. Now we want to check to see if the flats are up on the camshafts. If they're not, we want to rotate this around 360, a whole revolution, and then line up the dots again. Now check the cams. If they're flat, that means the cams and this correlation, everything's in time, ready to remove the first chain. As I move forward, I'm not going to use the terminology left and right. Bank 1 passenger side, bank 2 driver side. So we're on the passenger side, bank 1. Here's the flats. Get you a straight bar and see if that's flat. Now that's relatively flat. There's a little discrepancy right there, and that is a result of chain stretch. Now if the chain had jump time on the crank or the camshaft, then it would be obvious. So we're ready to remove the first chain. 10 mil. So I'd like to take a moment and explain why they do stage 2 and stage 1 timing. The whole reason is when you put the engine in stage 2 timing, the engine is in a relaxed state. They don't want to move. And this side is under stress, but the chain is still on. Now when we go to stage 1, this side will be in a relaxed state. No stress. And no need for the special tools. Now if you do stage 1 timing only, then you need the special tool. In reality, you only need it for this side, because in stage 1, this side is already relaxed. But the tools give you peace of mind. Not only do they hold the cams in position, they also align where they should be. Another tidbit of info: when you're in stage 2 timing, the firing order is 1, 2. This is cylinder 2 getting ready to fire. So this is top dead center on the piston, corresponding with stage 2. But is it at the compression stroke? Well, 1, you can put your hand over that, turn the engine over, and you'll feel a puff of air when you release. That would be compression stroke. Another way, you look at your camshaft lobes, and you can see these are pointing slightly upward, and this side is pointing straight out, which means they're not pointing downward, applying pressure to the valves. So all the valves are closed. which is compression stroke. Now we're ready to go to stage 1. And here's your dot. And what you want to do is you want to turn the engine over till this dot goes to stage 1, and then a whole nother revolution till you meet up with stage 1. Then the flats will be up. However, the shortcut is to reverse the engine and take this dot to stage 1, and the flats will be up on the cams. And with the spark plugs removed and this side chain removed, I'm not afraid to attempt to reverse the engine because that's half the stress. Another thing to consider, depending on how much stretch you have here, you can get yourself a pair of vice grips and put in there. That won't allow this tensioner to go down to aid when you reverse the engine so you don't skip a tooth. Provided you're going to change the tensioner anyway. Okay, so I'm going to hold down on the pliers and turn this baby in reverse. Oh, the engine just relaxed. There you go. Perfect. Driver's side, bank 2. Little bit of discrepancy right there, which is chain stretch. At this point, the whole engine is in a relaxed state. These cam flats are up, cam flats up. I'd also like to point out when you're in stage 1 timing, cylinder number 1, piston is at top dead center. These cam lobes are facing upward. These cam lobes are going sideways. Compression stroke. Ready to remove that chain. Oh, I should have took the bottom one off first. No biggie. Now we'll get the new parts. I'm not replacing the sprockets. Reason being, they're only 3 years old. Secondly, people don't change these if they're in good shape. They also don't show any wear on them. These are original. So maybe next time around, 3 to 5 years from now, I'll replace everything. New guides, and we'll pop this off and put the new one in, provided in the kit. Close-up look at this bottom cam. See if it's worn. I don't see any chain marks on it. I can get a better visual on camera than I can looking at it. Cloyes! Made in China. All the goodies. Got a new seal for the timing chain cover, water pump area. The old seal was looking a little rough, but then again, the new one has rough edges as well. Here's the chains. Primary. Bank 1, passenger side. Bank 2, driver side. We got a small amount of stretch here on bank 2. Small amount of stretch there as well. Primary chain has a lot of stretch. Must have been under a lot of stress So, with the combination of stretch between the three chains, we're way out of time. First chain to go on. Now this alignment here is not important at this point. Alright, for the first chain, we're on bank 2, driver's side. This is the exhaust cam. And we use the circles. You line the colored link up with that dot right in the center of the tooth, like such. Then we'll do the intake. Intake, circle dot, link. So your first check will be from colored link to colored link, and you should have 12 links. Now we can align the bottom with the peephole in the sprocket. Comparison, bank 1 and bank 2. The links on the chain are exactly the same, and the black link is down here at the bottom, so we know we have to turn that in that general area. Alright, for the first guide, it takes this special bolt with the sleeve on it. Tighten to 18 foot-pounds. And now we'll line up this link down there. Not sure why Cloyes did this. They got a black link. How are you supposed to see that through the hole? Should have been yellow. So I'm going to paint it. I don't have any markers. It's beautiful. You see the colored link through the peephole? And then you want to just pull that right up in there. And then hold tension on this chain until you get the second guide in. So you hold a little tension on that chain so it doesn't slip off the colored link. And then put this bad boy in there and torque these bolts to 18 foot-pounds. For the tensioner, just line up the gasket. And then for the bolts, it's got a keeper built into the gasket, which is awesome. And you just put your bolts in there just a little bit and right in. (18 foot-pounds). Recheck your timing marks. 12 links. Through the peephole, pull the pin. Now for the primary chain, I've already popped this off, put the new one on. The best thing I can tell you is you hook on this side first and then press right in the center and it pops on. I didn't get it on film, so I'll just show you what I did over here on the bench. So to get the new one on, I hooked on this side here, lined it up with that hole, and then pressed real hard right there in the center, and it went right on. To get the old one off, supposedly you're supposed to just push on this lip that's missing because it broke off when I tried to pop it off. Luckily the new one did not break. Okay, for the primary chain, I have a stamped timing mark here, and I had to draw a line on this one. You can barely see it. And then I'm going to put a little dot right here for future reference that we'll come back to. Right there. Future reference point. Bolt, tooth, dot. So I guess Cloyes got away from the colored links, which would really assist because this chain only has black. And we'll line that up. One more tooth. You line up your first mark. Get on this chain guide. Line up on your bottom dot. Spin that around till it lines up with the black dot. That was no picnic. So now we put this chain guide on. "18 foot-pounds. Get the tensioner in there. Line up your seal. 2 bolts. Partially in. 18 foot-pounds. Timing mark. All links are black. This link lined up with the dot on the crank. Pull the pin. Another point of reference from this colored link and timing mark to this colored link's timing mark is 17 links. And then it's 17 links from here to this timing mark, and then 17 back to the dot. All right, we're ready to rotate the engine to stage 2. For the second chain, passenger side, we use these triangles. And then there's a circular hole in this sprocket for the bottom timing mark. Here's the circle, and that tooth lines up in the center of the circle. So I need to put a mark on here. So there it is marked. It's not the best. Diamond, colored link, diamond, colored link. Okay, so there's your black link and the hole underneath, and you line up the black link in the center of that tooth and then cinch your chain up to hold it in place. You just hold a little tension on that side, and then I already got the bolts pre-installed. Meanwhile, a car shows up. "18 foot-pounds. Chain guide, sleeved bolt. Woo. Yeah, that's what I'm talking.
Is that the new chain on there?
Yes, ma'am. 18 foot-pounds. Got your tensioner. Line up the gasket. Put your bolts in just a little bit. Pull your arm and chain up. Right in there. Get one started and line the other one up, which it already is. 18 foot-pounds. Check your timing marks. Pull the pin. Oh wow. This pin does not want to pull. Oh. That's not good. Perhaps it needs a little persuasion. Oh, she popped. Nice. And it's working. So I'd like to give an example of how to reset these if you accidentally pulled the pin. Now, I'm not as rough and tough as Cody Smith, And I found this big, thick Phillips screwdriver that will bite right on there, and you just push in and turn at the same time. Then reinsert into the unit. You push down, put the pin in. However, if you just push down on the unit, it will engage it without a pin. So if this was in the car, you would just push down on the chain guide and it would engage. All right, I'm gonna add just a little bit of oil and then we'll turn the engine over. Once we start cranking the engine over, it's going to take forever for the links to line up. I'm not concerned with that. So what I'm going to do is bring it back to stage 1 timing first. One more turn. Got a lot of clicking going on. What's that all about? Stage 1 timing. Cam's flat. You can barely see the circle dot there. And one here. Stage 2. Even though your colored links don't come back in time, the triangle timing marks, they always come back. Every second revolution. Cam's flat, triangles. Okay, now we'll turn the engine over. Ready for the timing chain cover? Hold up! You've got to put some sealant on there. For the timing chain cover, I'll be using Permatex Ultra Black gasket maker. Going to start with a very small bead. I'll cut this on an angle. You don't need a whole lot because you're going metal against metal. And you only need just a little bit to squish out each side. You don't want so much in there it squishes out and becomes part of the oil. It's a pretty small hole. Yeah, we need more than that. Wish I had a caulk gun doing this. Instead, well, I need more than that. And you want to go around your bolts and the dowel. You get 2 dowels here to help you align it. Alright, then I got this new water pump seal. There's a little notch in the seal. Goes in this noogie. Well, I tell you, this ain't no picnic. What is going on there? Yeah, not too bad. Now you just want to snug it up and let the RTV silicon set up for an hour. Then tighten the torque specs. And this weird looking bolt from the past video, I don't think you have to take that out because it just slides right through, so that could be used as a dowel. And then you got your dowels that are in the unit. I would suggest to snug this area first, pull in nice and evenly, and then go to your outer bolts. Here's an example of the RTV oozing out. So you want to get this gooseneck on right away, or clean the RTV off so it doesn't affect when you put that in there. It won't hold you up. Hour later, now torque the bolts in the same pattern that you did when you assembled it. Also, before I torqued the bolts, I made sure this bolt lined up in this timing cover. 18 foot-pounds. All right, I'm going to crank the engine over, see if everything's all right, and we'll slowly build oil pressure. Sounds good. So part 3, I'll reassemble everything and then fire it up.